Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an Oath of Devotion Paladin build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. So this is a pretty interesting class because the Oath of Devotion is not the most powerful Paladin, but it does have some unique synergy with some gear that we're going to be going over in this video. So the Paladin itself, it has three main oaths as well as the Oathbreaker. So these have very heavy roleplay functions in the game. So the Oath of Devotion is actually one of the easiest to break. So if you want to go Oathbreaker, go with the Oath of Devotion. So as our ability, we get our Holy Rebuke. This is kind of garbage, just going to be honest with you guys. Grant an ally an aura that gives the ability to tickle an enemy with 1 to 4 radiant damage, which is literally nothing. So this uses a full action and only lasts for 2 turns. Don't use this, ever. It's not that good. And then we also have the Oath of Devotion tenants, which are the ones that are easiest to break. So as for our ability score, we want to have our charisma at 16, our strength at 16, and then we do want to kind of split our stats roughly between something like this. So having a high strength is going to give us the ability to attack pretty good, as well as dexterity being around the 12 mark. If you're going with more of a finesse weapon, I would have higher dexterity, but I think that this is a pretty solid one. We want to be going with heavy weapon attacks here. So we do get the choice of some good skill proficiencies here. I recommend always having persuasion and athletics, as those are some of the most important ones here. So as for this build, I'm going to get into the things here that make this a very powerful class. The Paladin itself is definitely a S tier class because of smites, which we just get here now. So we get the Divine Smite weapon damage, deals an additional 1d8 of radiant damage, smite reaction, and then critical reaction. So we get ourselves a fighting style here. Great weapon fighting if you're going to be using a two-handed weapon. I'm not for the purposes of this. If you're using a shield, adding dueling is awesome because it gives you 2 extra damage. And it says at the bottom there you can carry a shield in your free hand and still gain this bonus. So that's a pretty solid one if you want to increase overall damage. And I think that defense is great though. +1 to armor class always helps out, and especially early on when you want to get your armor class up to 21 as quickly as possible. As for our prepared spells, these are going to all scale off of our charisma. I think it's best to go with our Spearing Smite, Thunderous Smite, and Wrathful Smite. While they're not the strongest ever, they still are great. They do use a bonus action, so we're going to want to use Divine Smite mostly, but if you have a target that's weak to a certain damage type, it can be good as well. Command is a really nice spell too, so command a creature to flee, move closer, freeze, drop to the ground, or drop its weapon. This can be done early on to get yourself a really nice legendary two-handed sword, so I really like that. If you have no one else in the party with Bless, take Bless, because it's kind of an essential one to have. I don't love Cure Wounds as an action. That's not the best choice that we could do. Shield of Faith for the +2 armor class is pretty nice, but Compelled Duel, force enemy attack, only you giving a disadvantage against other targets is nice, as if you're the one with the most health, this can be very effective. Our Shield of Faith is pretty good as well, though, just for the overall increase to our armor class. It does require concentration, but it is pretty good. Divine Health, so the magic flowing through prevents disease from affecting you. We get our Sacred Weapon as a action here. So turn your weapon into a Sacred Weapon has a higher chance of hitting and emits a bright light. So this is going to take our Charisma modifier, that +3, and add it to our attack roll. So early on we can use our Channel Oath to make sure that we're not going to miss many hits. I would recommend doing this outside of combat so that when you get into combat, it only lasts 10 turns, but it doesn't require concentration. So I'd recommend doing this at the start of combat. We also have Turn the Unholy, so turn nearby undead and fiends. They are forced to flee and cannot come close to you. We get ourselves Protection from Good and Evil, as well as Sanctuary, and Sanctuary is just a nice little addition to add to this. And as for our extra spell that we'll take here, again, if you don't have anyone taking Bless, I would take Bless. Heroism can be pretty decent at times too, but we're going to go Bless there. Compelled Duel is another one, I guess I'll go Compelled Duel. I usually have a Cleric on my team, so they cover the Bless there, but it's also fine to take it as a Paladin. We can even like take off something here and add it on. So we'll take Bless there. The Paladin's only a half caster, so it has a slower spell progression than other classes. Now, as for our feat, I think it's best to actually increase our overall charisma, take it up to 18, especially if you're the face of the party. This is going to be very beneficial because a higher charisma just means better dialogue, better charisma checks, etc. Level 5, we get ourselves the extra attack and level 2 spells, so this gets a little bit better at this level. I think that the best ones to go with are Magic weapon can be pretty decent. It does require concentration. It gives you a +1 to bonus attack and damage rolls. But branding smite in Act 2, this helps a lot because it prevents them from turning invisible. Aid can also be nice. Heal your allies, increase their hit points by 5. It can be upcast as well. Pretty decent spell, but we also get ourselves lesser restoration, removes disease, poison, paralysis, or blindness, and then we also get silence. So that's pretty nice just to have as our Oath of Devotion here. Now, at level 6, we get the Aura of Protection. So you and nearby allies gain a +4 to our saving throws. That's awesome to have. And then for our extra spell, maybe Magic Weapon or Divine Favor could be okay as well as a bonus action to add an additional 1 to 4 radiant damage. Now we get our Aura of Devotion here. You and nearby allies cannot be charmed, which is okay. It's not like fantastic. There's other ways to prevent being charmed, like being a bard, but yeah, it's not too bad. We unfortunately don't get many spell slots here, so we do end up picking a lot of our spells that we don't have much selection there. And then for our next level, I guess take heal, I guess, is not a bad thing to have if you have need a heal. I think it's even better to continue with our increased charisma. Taking our charisma up to 20 is pretty ideal early on, as that's going to give us higher spell save. Now at level 9, we get ourselves level 3 spells, and this is kind of cool because we get ourselves a free remove curse and beacon of hope. So this is a concentration, but allows you to allies will regain the maximum amount of health points. So it can have some usefulness at times, but I think for the best spells to take here, it's probably best to go with like Elemental Weapon. Imbue it, gives a +1 attack rolls and adds an additional damage choice of your type, whatever damage type you want. Blinding Smite can be pretty nice. It'll blind the target and it deals an additional 3d8 radiant damage. It does use a bonus action, but blind is kind of nice to have. Crusader's Mantle can be decent too. Emboldens nearby allies and gives an additional 1d4 radiant damage. Revivify is nice though too. Revive a companion, and then also the Warden of Vitality. You can cast Restore Vitality as a bonus action to heal yourself and nearby allies. So at level 9, that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to take all of our levels in Paladin here, as I didn't see many Oath of Devotions. If this is your first playthrough and you really wanted Oath of Devotion, this is the build to go with. You and nearby allies can't be frightened. That's pretty nice because Frighten can really shut you down, so it's good to have that there. And then I guess we'll take that for our next spell. At level 11 here, we get ourselves the Improved Divine Smite, so this is what makes this class strong. Having the additional 1d8 of radiant damage is massive, and we get another level 3 spell slot. All of our spell slots should pretty much be going towards Smite, honestly. I think that's the best usage of our spells overall. And then we get our final spell here, I guess Protection from Poison or Take a Heal is not bad. As for the feat, we can go with Strength and increase it up to, take it up to 18. But I also think that it's good to take Alert for a +5 to Initiative. If you can go first and get a Smite off and critically hit, you can sometimes take out the next target and then have your other allies go next. So I think Alert is fantastic. It's definitely an underrated one. Warcaster can give you the ability to hold concentration on a spell, which is decent if you really want to have your concentrations held, but not a massive deal as a paladin. It's not like a cleric would be much more impactful if they lost concentration. I also think that Sentinel is pretty nice. When an ally moves into range, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack, and you gain advantage on opportunity attacks. I like doing that with a halberd as well, so that you can have an increased range. But +5 to Initiative is huge, so we're going to go with that, because if you can move first, and the intention is to be able to go first and smite someone and take them out of combat, that's ideal, because Divine Smite can do a lot of damage. Now, as for our weapons, we have a nice crisp armor class of 27 here, so 20 from armor, 3 from our shield, ring of protection, cloak of protection, evasive shoes, and +1 from defense. We have a nice 148 health. We have resistance, so +1d4 to saving throws, and then has resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, so we'll only take half damage from physical sources, which is huge. And yeah, we should go with something. So this is a charisma-based sword. Now, we can go with something like the Baldurin Giant Slayer, which can give us massive amounts of damage on our smite. Now, on hit, double the damage from your strength modifier. This weapon gives you advantage on attack rolls against large, huge, or gargantuan creatures. We also get the giant form and some weapon attacks. That makes our Divine Smite really strong. I like the birthright hat because this is going to give us our charisma at 22. I have a 27 charisma or strength because of the strength potions, which I recommend farming for this build because they're extremely powerful. For a paladin or for a monk, this can be a game changer. Cloak of protection for the +1 armor class is massive. Armor persistence reduces all incoming damage by 2, and halves the damage that you would be taking from physical sources. So that is massive. That's the best in place armor, heavy armor there. Luminous gloves. Whenever the target deals radiant damage, the target receives 2 turns of radiating orb. So that gives us a nice radiating or the radiant damage from our smites. We can also go with some other options. If you want to use the Frost Giant gloves, set your armor class at 23. That can be an option if you want to dump strength. Crater Flesh gloves are nice too because it gives you 1d6 force damage when we hit criticals, and we're going to be going for criticals quite often here, but we can also just keep the luminous gloves because we're mainly going to be smacking people with our radiant or divine smite there. Evasive shoes for +1 armor class is awesome. Being able to double the damage from your strength modifier is huge. Killer Sweetheart for the free critical hit. I think that is probably one of the best in-slot items because being able to hit a critical smite can change the course of battle. Ring of Protection for what +1 armor class is awesome, and then setting our constitution to 23 is great too. If we want, we can go with the Amulet of the Ball, but that'll take our health down to 100. The extra 48 health that we get from the Constitution Amulet is massive, and then it allows us to even dump our Constitution, put it into other stats there. But the main focus of what we want to be doing in combat. So this is an interesting build. Having Armor of Faith is pretty good to always have that increased armor class, but we can also go with like Sacred Weapon, which will, this is our class ability, and it makes the weapon light up there, which is kind of cool. It gives it a nice appearance, but also gives us the increased hit chance, which is something we definitely want. We have a +25 bonus to our attack rolls, which is pretty nice. That means we're not going to be missing often, and then when we go to Divine Smite, pretty much a 90. The only way we can miss is if we get a critical miss, so that is huge. We also want to have our aura protection up as often as possible. Gives us +6 to saving throws. We have a few different auras. The Warden of Vitality is good too, because this gives us the ability to restore vitality there as a bonus action, heal. Aura of Courage can be decent as well. It gives us the ability to not be frightened, and then also the ability to not be charmed there. So Aura of Devotion and Courage, pretty useful. We can also use our nice fancy elemental weapon to give ourselves a lightning attack, which is cool because whenever we have the lightning damage, we can double off of water. So 1d4 of lightning damage is nice. But our main focus would be to get in close and smite. Blinding Smite is good if we have, like, it does deal a bit of extra damage, but it does, Blinding Smite will take a bonus action. So it can deal upwards of 68 damage, which is massive. But our typical focus would be going in and Divine Smiting, because this can give us an upwards of 76 damage, which is massive. And yeah, we're going to be hitting with a high frequency. This is just the Paladin in general is a very powerful class in general, just because of smites. So try to get as many critical hits off as possible. And yeah, that is the Oath of Devotion in Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.